All right, we are live.
Hey, everybody.
Look at my phone down before it starts going crazy.
I'm digging in my back pocket. Colby can explain to you what this is.
That's part of our elderberry fun that we've been having. So we have a video coming out on picking elderberries today. Well, it'll come out probably Friday or the weekend. So I hope everybody is doing well. We have our fifth one with us because it's actually his birthday tomorrow. He turns number 1. So are you going crazy? Let's stand right
He
there.
actually is not feeling very
The best
well.
in the world.
Yeah, we've been at the doctor's office with him this week, and he
Hi, having a homestead. Hi, Steph T5.
he acts like, he seems like he's acting okay. And I've got two things I think that may be wrong with him, and we did not do a sample, but he's had like massive diarrhea for over a week now, isn't it? So I took him to the doctor this week, and he the way our insurance is just crazy. So I told her kind of what's been going on, and because I have a nursing background, I think it's one or two things. One is I had been on an antibiotic, and I don't know if I wiped all of his good bacteria out. And that's got his stomach all messed up. So I've been giving him things like yogurt and stuff like that, to try to help get him balanced back out. And he is on a medicine, unfortunately. We're going to try this first because this was the cheaper route. Or two, something that I've been really reading about, but I'm not familiar with at all, is when we were in Michigan, when we were at the campground, the place where we were and the whole gathering it was a lot of dirt. And I took him 3 pairs of shoes, and 2 broke, and one pair wouldn't stay Velcroed. So we basically let him run around barefooted. And there was a lot of other kids there barefooted. So I really didn't think much about it. And then also, he was like rolling around in the dirt. And of course, at this age, he's constantly putting his hands in his mouth. So
True.
My second thought was he's picked up some type of parasite. So that option for us of treatment would have been a shorter treatment, but like more than 100th of the cost it's just literally ridiculous. So we're going to try this first, and we hope that it will help him to start feeling better, because his birthday is tomorrow, August the 8th. He was born on his nanny's birthday, which is Colby's mom.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. I was not having I usually make all my kids cakes. Does anybody else make all their kids cakes?
Hey, Runaway.
But I was actually making his cake this afternoon, and it was just not
pandemonium.
Yeah, it was not working out in my favor. And anyway, he's having a little outdoorsy thing. So we're doing like some deer and some what else? I had bunnies and a little fox and raccoon. So we're gonna kind of do like a little outdoorsy theme, and so it's bittersweet, because I'm glad that he's fixing to be 1, and he's been a healthy 1-year-old, but it's kind of bittersweet too, because once they hit that 1, it's like, where does your baby go? So
he's having a blast with Mama's phone. I think he's gonna throw it though.
All right, Steph T5 says we make the cakes and the kids make their dad's cake. Hey, that's a good idea. They can start getting their practice in that way. And we'll see if he'll go.
Okay. We usually make our cakes. Misty decided to go really kind of unique on this cake, so it's been pandemonium today. It kind of flopped at first, so we got it all back right. So I think it's gonna be okay. We've got we're gonna do just personal family just tomorrow with us. Let him play the cake, but we'll probably have our main family over Friday afternoon or so. So I think he'll be ready to go, and he's number 5, so it's always exciting around here. So he's either falling off something or messing with other kids and kind of growing up on it. So
and
always fun.
The pandemonium too was I made my icing a little too thin, because I homemade my icing and made it a little too thin, and then everything started sliding, and it was just, I was like, And then
Hey, poor boy.
it calls for egg whites. So I put the yolks over on the side, and we were gonna chunk them out. And
We're gonna take it to our hogs.
Harley, for some reason, got the bright idea to take the bowl and walk it in the dining room and tell Aiden that he needed to take it out. But she left it laying on the fireplace, which is in Jennings' reach. So he goes out this afternoon.
Amen, 75.
He was running around. He has this little Hot Wheels truck. And I glance up, and he's dipping it in the egg yolks and sucking on it. So that's probably not going to help his diarrhea, but
He's ate a bug this weekend.
Yes, he has.
So he's had a tough week.
I've had a tough week.
He might
we started school Monday, so it's been like trying to juggle everybody's school and do the chores and the extra stuff like the birthday party, and then we kicked off with piano this week. So just trying to juggle everything, and it's been a little crazy.
A lot of transition too, because we're going into the fall season, so we're trying to get everything ready for that too. So, but yeah, we're preparing for a birthday, and like I said before, we have been elderberry searching. So tomorrow we have a video coming out, Misty's first video on her getting some elderberry, or harvesting off the elderberry from where we found plants a few months ago. But then she couldn't get some of it, so we decided to. We've got another video now, actually from today, that we've actually started harvesting some of the parts that she couldn't get. So you'll see a video tomorrow, and you'll see how hard the other ones were, and then
we've gotten a really good harvest, and so I'm so thankful for that, because it was my goal last year. I mean, we were paying like ridiculous amounts trying to
for organic elderberry.
Yeah, trying to get it, and then so this year it was my goal. It was my goal to
He's playing. He's not actually screaming. He's just yelling.
He's squealing at his sister, but not playing.
We are doing yogurt loving Abbey Farm.
Yeah. Well, I had read Single Man said bananas. He's allergic to bananas. So the 2 times we tried to feed him bananas when he was like 7 months, 6.5, 7 months. I gave it to him one afternoon, like smushed up a real banana, gave it to him. He was puking the whole night. It's like until he got all of it up. So I slept in the recliner with him with a towel on my chest that night. I thought he had a stomach virus. So then, like the next week, I tried to give him bananas again. And this was like at lunch. And like 2-3 hours later, he was puking the bananas up again. So I was like, okay, we've nailed it right here. It's the bananas, because it was just a few hours both times. It was like it would get in his stomach, and then he would puke until he got every bit of it up. So he can't eat bananas.
But we are doing yogurt. We have our homemade yogurt, but then we bought some that's got a little bit more probiotic in it. So we're hoping that will make a huge difference with him. So, but I mean, he's doing good. He acts like nothing's bothering him, but he just, like I said, he just needs to get well.
Give him some cheese. I actually did today.
Oh my gosh, Misty was like pouring cheese in his mouth today. So
no, he is on an antibiotic, unfortunately, just in case the bad bacteria from being transitioned from me taking the antibiotic being transitioned to him, given to him through me nursing. I don't know if that's what his whiteness gut out, or if it is, like I said, parasitic. But
hey, she's on Country Farms.
Regardless, he is. He's been a little ill, but not too bad. I mean, he acts like he's okay at times, but then at times he acts like his stomach's bothering him. So I don't know.
Yeah, but again, we're just gonna watch him, see how it goes, and keep pouring yogurt and cheese to him. So it should be fun. Elderberries. I don't know if y'all have elderberries in y'all's area. Mississippi is covered with elderberries. Elderberries, though, are really like almost like a weed here. If we cut trees in a certain area, it becomes a cutover, and elderberries just thrive in that.
Mm-hmm.
Even on creeks, lakes, ponds. So, to be honest with you, elderberries, most people just mow down. They just think it's just kind of like a beauty berry or a hedge bush, so they don't find value in it. But if you've ordered elderberries or you have bought elderberries, you're usually paying anywhere from $15 to $20 per pound for elderberries, wild elderberries. So we last year, like Missy said, our goal was to have elderberries. Now our trees are growing, but we found a lot of wild ones. So these are truly wild, truly organic, no spray, all natural,
Yep.
as natural as it could be. Grabbing poison ivy to get to them, cutting legs, cutting arms to get to them, but they might have some blood in it. But you know,
At least we got them.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, some comments up here. Heat exhaustion. Let's see. Awesome. I've had heat exhaustion. That is horrible. I'm so sorry about that. Mimsy's garden. She ate a bug. Now, I'm not sure who you're referring to. We did have Jennings ate a bug this week. Rat poison at church. That's definitely not good. Lay down and fire ants. Stepped out in front of a car. That's not good. Got loose from a caretaker. I hope that was not all in one day, because if that was all in one day, I would probably be nuts.
Hey, our cabin in the woods.
And thank you, Heidi. We hope he gets to feeling better too very soon. Like I said, at times he acts like he's fine. He just runs along in his business. But then other times, you know.
Well, we're not medicine people, so he's actually done okay, and we've kind of held off on medicine. We've done the yogurts and things, but it got to the point where we had to get an antibiotic. But he's actually struggled to me more since we put the antibiotic. I don't know if he's just frustrated with it or what.
And that in itself is going to be rough on his stomach. And she told me that when I took him to the doctor. But, you know, when you're going through 10 diarrhea diapers at a minimum a day, I mean, I was constantly changing a diarrhea diaper. I mean, just it's like it would not stop. So I knew that I had to do something. I had to have him seen about.
I don't think pokey berries are good, Loving Ivy Farm. I've always heard bad things about pokey berries. So we don't have those here. We have a lot. We have what they call the beauty berry and a hedge bush berry. Both of those are not good for you.
And there's something called a possum berry too.
Well, possum grape.
Possum grape, that's right.
Now those we can eat.
And they actually grow kind of like down into like a vine form.
A lot of people make they're basically like a wild grapevine, and they make what they call possum grape. They're smaller. So we have a lot of those around here. A lot of people make jellies out of those, just like they do the elderberry. So most of the time they tell you don't eat elderberry raw because it can be bad for you. Same way with the possum grape. We have a lot in that area, this area though. But one thing you got to look out for, you got to know what you're looking at, is because a hedge berry and a beauty berry almost look identical to those two, and those two are poisonous and not good for you. So.
Well, and one awesome thing too is VW Family Farms, and we also have a video out on how to identify. You need to know, of course, always know what you're looking for, but they're really, really easy to spot, especially in May. Because they get these big, huge, white, circular flower heads on them.
That's when you can really tell what they are.
And then you can be riding down the road, and if you look out, I mean, you can just see they're all in the woods.
Especially in the southeast part.
They're
if you got humidity and cutovers.
So they're very easy to spot if you know what you're looking for sure. Always know what kind of berry you're dealing with. But once you know what you're looking for, they're very easy to find. And what I did is I went around to mine in May, and I marked them with hot pink string, and you'll see that in our video. And you can look at the leaves. They have a very distinctive jagged edge. They're slim. So once you, and I show you that on a lot of the video, VW Family Farms does too. But then, so I tagged all mine, but now since I know, I mean, you can even look at the tree and the bark if you know what you're looking for, and they're very easy to spot. So
yeah, they've done good. Actually, the wild ones have done a lot better than us trying to plant some. They just
Step T5, mark them. Like, get you like the ribbon, like any kind of ribbon or that's bright colored or anything like that. Now, I will tell you this. One of the ones that I marked was up on the corner, one of the corner of our properties by some frontage road. And we were driving by, and we were like, where did they go? Where did they go? Well, so we jumped on our Ranger and drove up there, and they were overgrown by the hedge and the little vine stuff really just come out of the woods and overtook it. So I saw my mark, but it was way, I mean, because the Like if this is your line, all of your hedge and stuff had grown so much in front of it. It was very hard to spot. So mark them, but just know that the junk around it can't overgrow it if it's right on that wood line.
But remember, elderberry thrives in food forests or wood lines or in the midst of a cutover. So they're used to growing wild with everything else. So be careful if you try to, like Misty was talking about, some of ours we try to manicure around and make them look good, but they don't thrive that way. They actually really thrive better when they're growing with wild grasses and wild.
Wait till you see the video of me trying to get to them. Some of y'all are going to bust a gut. I've got a battle wound on my hand, if you can see it, from where I was trying to get to them, but they really do thrive, like Colby said, out just in the grown-up junk.
And next to water, too.
Loving Ivy Farm, I'm so glad you learned from me how to spot them. That's what we do. I learned from you how to spot them. So
that's right, Crystal Creek.
That's what we want to be all about, is being able to teach people what we know. So I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me, because it's encouraging to be able to know that we're making a difference.
Step T5, use a ribbon that your transportation company does not use if you mark them far off. Use a pink tape or an orange tape. Find out what they're not using, because what you don't want to do is use a tape that a logger or that a tree cutter or a hedge cutter is utilizing too. In our area, we have to be very careful of that, because really where they're spraying a lot of times can go on to where we're getting elderberry. So we have to really watch where they're at, where we're at, and make sure we're marking them in the best way possible. So, but we've got some cut up arms. We've got some cut up arms and all that, but it's worth it. The elderberries for us, we made a lot of elderberry syrup, making money on the homestead. Let's kind of mold that way with our honey. And with our other things that we've done, Misty's getting one thing that we did really well on last year, and that's elderberry syrup.
I made a fresh batch today, and the kids love it. It's amazing to me how purple these were fresh elderberries. These were not dried.
And we usually use dried organic. So.
And it's amazing to me how the purple it is. It actually stained my hand earlier. It's off now though. But this was made from fresh elderberries that we got, and I made this batch up today, and it's so easy to do.
Yes, Step T5, watch the electric easement, because they will tear it up. They'll spray it.
So, yeah, you're right. So I made this today, and it's really easy to do. I'm not one that's a measure per se. I just kind of throw stuff together. That's what happened to my icing tonight. That I had to take my cake apart and redo the icing. I kind of fixed it. It's not beautiful, but it's together. It's together, and the icing is on there. So
it's a 1-year-old birthday party. He won't.
He don't care. So anyway, I put 4 cups of water, brought it to a boil. Then I took a cup. It may have been a little bit more. A cup of fresh elderberries and put those in. Turned it down to simmer. I put about a teaspoon of fresh ginger root and cloves. And you can add 1 cinnamon stick. You can add 2. I put 3.
It's for taste.
It's kind of up to you.
Cinnamon's good for you, but we like it for taste.
I like it heavy. So I put 3 cinnamon sticks in mine and covered it up, turned it down to low, let it simmer for about 30 to 45 minutes. Then I slid it to the back of the stove and let it cool down. And then I prepared a little dish for me to strain it off in. So since it was still warm, I put my cup of honey in that dish, strained off the elderberries, the cloves, the cinnamon sticks, and squeezed out what I could and put that aside. And then I mixed up my juice with the honey and poured it up in here. It's been in the refrigerator. The kids love it. You can take adults, they recommend 1 tablespoon daily, kids 1 teaspoon daily. But I'm going to be honest, my kids get those little little tiny
Medicine
measuring cups, and they just turn them back. They love
And
it.
the thing about it is, it's really good for you. It's elderberry it's bad for you trying to eat them raw. Don't do that, of course. But you have to cook them.
They're dangerous for you. They can make you sick if you eat them raw.
But we cook it now. Misty has another recipe. It's like a super elderberry syrup that adds a few more little herbs. But that one's the one she's made.
Up to 6 months.
Right. And to be honest with you, we don't take the flu shot or nothing like that. Again, we don't do medicine. So this becomes almost like a medicine for fall. And you'd be surprised. Again, not saying that everything's about selling, because our main goal for homesteading is sustainability for ourselves.
Yeah, and this year we sold so much of our honey. I probably will not.
Well, until fall, we have fall harvest for honey.
Yeah, but basically, at that point we will. But for right now, we're not. This is just for us.
You know, a cup of honey goes into how many quarts for a cup of honey? One,
yeah.
So
1 cup of honey.
So we sold so much of this last year that we were buying elderberry online, organic elderberry online, but we sold through about 5 gallons worth of honey with 1 cup sugar. So and elderberry syrup. That's how popular it is in this area. Because if you go
1 cup of sugar, what do you mean?
I mean 1 cup of honey. I'm sorry, honey.
Sorry, sugar in that.
No sugar. But basically. You know, if you go to a big box store, a Walmart, place like that, you'll pay $10 for a little elderberry capsule.
And I was selling mine for $35.
That's right. So they were getting a way better value, but it was a way that you can do very well on your homestead as well. So one thing that we've tried to do is not only be sustainable, but understand stewardship by making money on our homestead as well.
And there's a recipe out there that Growing Up Herbal has on her website. I really like Megan. She is a certified herbalist, and I follow her and learn from her. But she's got an ultimate immune boosting elderberry recipe that I used for probably 2 or 3 years.
But it's expensive.
But our co-op, this was the problem. Our co-op in Jackson went out. So I was forced to start buying all of our elderberries online.
Let's go back. Elderberry wasn't the bad expense.
I mean, not elderberries. I meant herbs. I was forced to buy all of my herbs online. So Jackson, we could travel up to Jackson and get whatever we needed, and it was at a fairly reasonable price. But when our co-op closed and I started buying them online, then you were looking at
shipping,
third parties, and you were looking at shipping prices. And it called for elderberry, bilberry, cloves, ginger root, rose hill, echinacea root, hibiscus.
And really, none of those were real bad expensive, except for the bilberry.
Was ridiculous.
But it's the fact of trying to get it.
It's double the price of regular elderberry, and I was paying $20 a pound. Yeah. So bilberry was $40 a pound, and it only calls for 1/4 of a cup. So it does take you a long way. But when you add in the rose hill, the hibiscus flowers, and all the other stuff, it really got expensive.
And don't get me wrong, if you're doing it strictly for you and you're looking for the main immune booster, I'd add all that because it has all great tincture and medicinal benefits. But for us, this does perfect. So we've enjoyed it and really went through all fall last year with it. So it's been well good here. I mean, it's good for here. The kids love it. So.
And if anybody has any questions, you can either shoot them to me on here. You can privately get with me. However, I've been doing this for several years now. Now this new step for us was going out into our woods and getting our own elderberries.
Yeah, that's the coolest
that
thing.
was the first step. That was something new this year.
Thanks, our cabin in the woods. We're not that cool.
So that was pretty cool, and that was my goal for this year. Like I've shared with y'all before, is I wanted to identify elderberry, and I shared that with y'all. I wanted to harvest my own elderberry, and that's coming up, so that I could have my own elderberry syrup
with our own honey, with well water that we have from our ground, and elderberries from our area. So that's awesome.
So I'm super excited about this. I've already, me and the kids all have already been into it. And I have some in the freezer, and I'm gonna go get that 5-gallon bucket and bring it in here and just kind of let them see. So that's what we filled up, almost a 5-gallon bucket today of elderberries. And I have frozen some. I'm going to dehydrate some, and I have used some fresh. So
we were, and this will be on our video. We were we are now off our our homestead has all this elderberry on there, but we you got all that we could, so we passed this right of way area that's connected to our land, but it's one of those things where it's next to a drainage ditch and a creek off a big main highway. So it's like one of those things we're like, you know what? We're gonna go get some elderberry. You know, nobody's picking them. They're just sitting there falling on the ground. So we're down deep in the woods in this right of way, trying to pull throw rods and throw fishing line and hooks, and that's what this Misty had this Allen wrench in the back of her pocket. We were throwing this tied to goat tape, trying to grab this elderberry, and it was so funny because I know most of the sheriff's department in our town. It's a smaller town, but there was one pulled up, and I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna give me a ticket or something." Because here we are, like on the side of the road with our 5 kids, and we're digging in this ditch. They're probably wondering, "What are we doing?" So, anyways, I knew the guy, no big deal, but I lost my good hook. So here we are now having an extension cord, throwing and trying to fish these elderberries out with a red extension cord. So people were passing, honking. They probably thought we were crazy. They probably didn't know what we were doing. They probably thought we were on something more than elderberry syrup. But it was fun. We had a good time doing it today. The kids were laughing. We made a video of that too. So, what was the site of the herbalist? When Missy gets back, I'll let you tell her. She talks to her. She's in Appalachia, in kind of Tennessee area, going up the Smoky Mountains. But she's a herbalist that she follows on Instagram and also on her website. Hey, what's the herbalist's website?
Growing Up Herbal.
Growing Up Herbal. There you go. I know she'd know it. We tried to figure that out last time. We couldn't remember.
So here's the elderberry we got today. Some of them. I had to bring the bucket in because they were falling off, and I don't want Jennings to pick these up off the floor and eat them because he will.
Here, you bring it closer. Yeah. We got this.
But I've got bugs, so I wanted to carry it in, but I don't want to leave it in because there's still some bugs on there. Yeah. See, I still got bugs in here. And that was one of the bad things. See, this one looks really good, but then as you can tell, this one is not nearly as full because we've got these little bugs that, yeah.
But it's just like, but it's just like any other fruit or any other.
So I don't know how good y'all can see that, but
it's just like anything else you harvest. If you let it go too far, either bugs or they're gonna fall or they're gonna rot or they're gonna get taken over by bugs. So we tried to pick them as soon as they go from that green to purple real quick and try to get them off the trees real quick, just like you would a tomato. Tomato, I'm not gonna let one get fully red on a vine or yellow. I'm gonna go and try to pull it.
There was one on my hand.
She's gonna jump. She better go and take them out because she's gonna jump past this screen up here and you won't be able to see her. So, but no, we were real pleased with that. Again, that was kind of one of our big steps this year of what we were gonna do. Now, our video today, kind of last thing we wanted to kind of talk about was our video today was on silage tarps and what we're doing different with our garden. That's fine.
Well, I want to say one thing before you go on about that. So you see the berries, but when these flower in May, you can see how they kind of stand up and they're like almost like a perfect circle in appearance. So all of this is white. And then it goes from white to tiny, tiny, tiny little
green.
You can see that there's some green on this one.
See that one too well.
You can see that green on that. So then the berries grow and they're a fairly decent size green, and then they go from this to this. And even if you look off in the woods, you can see your stems.
It's purple.
They're purple
well,
too.
Now this is the Sambuscus variety. So there's one. I talked to a guy in Washington the other day. In Seattle, Washington the other day, and his elderberry variety has the same medicinal benefits, but his are he was in the Northwest, so his start off white, and then they turn blue, light blue, and then they powder. When ours gets real purple, we're ready to harvest. But in his variety, I'm not sure. It was the Sambuscus variety, but I don't know what variety it was. But what they did on theirs, they know theirs is ready when it powders, when it turns white powder on the blue elderberry. So I thought that was pretty cool. We got to talk to him about different varieties. Thank you. So it's a learning curve. So now past the elderberry, when we talk about the silage tarps today, I know there was a few people talking about the silage tarps and asking questions about it. We're trying 3 different models in our garden for kind of the transition into fall, even into winter, and back into spring. So we're going to take what we've learned from other homesteaders to try to make a better garden for 4 seasons. We do pretty good already, but our summer and spring garden really had a lot of grass in it that we were trying to get away from tilling, and also just the high maintenance of that. So we right now we've started with our silage tarps. Our silage tarps will go over a part of our garden that will basically be used for fall. Most of it will be used for fall gardening. So we went on and tarped it now. What the whole purpose of that tarp is to smother the ground, to let all we did a chop and drop method that we learned from a permaculture site and a permaculture YouTube about chop and drop. So you chop all your, all your what's left of your vegetation, drop it, let it bump, and then I'm gonna silage tarp it down. So what we're doing now is we're saying, okay, we're chopping and dropping, not just leaving it there. We're covering it up. Now there's crickets, there's white flies, there's all kind of bugs still under there. So once we close it up, our goal is that becomes nutrients for the ground. So we tarped it, sealed it off, and then turned around and put heavy water on it, rained on it good, so it is packed on there. Now we still have our mound. So our goal is to say, okay, this part of the garden is going to be a no-till garden. The silage tarps will help keep the ground moist. It will also make it dark, where it will kill everything, because once you get to 120 in degrees, because anytime you have a black tarp on the ground in the summer in Mississippi, that temperature is going to rise, so it will kill the weeds and also the Bahia grass that was kind of growing through. So we're hoping that will make a more fertile ground. We had a lot of peas underneath the spring part that was going to seed that was just basically, done. So that's the legume adding the nitrogen back. So for that part of the garden, that's what our goal is. Now, the next step is once we're going to leave a silage tarp down on one part, fall garden on one part. So the next 2 spots, and we will have videos on this, we'll actually put permaculture chickens from Justin Rhodes. We're going to make a spot where they will just feed off of it. We'll feed them compost and feed them their feed, and basically with their fertilizer and the natural compost, they will mix it up, and that will be our second spot. Third spot is we will not use it for fall. We will actually use it to basically treat the ground back where the corn is. So we will put we're going to plant red clover. We're also planting ryegrass and also some buckwheat in the cooler part as it comes back to spring on that section. But all that's going to be is a cover crop to add nitrogen back in the ground. Then we're going to turn around and the buckwheat will be growing by the time the bee season comes back around for spring. So we're hoping those 3 parts of our garden will all have different bonuses and pluses and minuses to them. So then therefore we can utilize different elements of our garden for different varieties of vegetation that we grow. We have done very well in growing gardens, but this year was not the best garden. So we learned, okay, what can we do better to go back to what we were last year to have a sustainable garden year over year? So we're excited about it. The silage tarps are expensive. I mean, you're going to pay $100, $130 for the size silage tarps we needed for our garden. So that's not cheap. But like I said, it's a way that we can learn. They should last. They're 6 mil thick, so it's like the thickest trash bag that you can imagine. So I think it's going to be okay. I hope that they'll hold up. We didn't put anything heavy that was going to damage the tarp. So I think it's going to be okay. No animals go on it. So once we take those tarps off, then we will go back through with the broad fork, hit those top beds, and then be ready to plant for fall on half of it. So we're excited for that. That's just something new that we're trying this year. Our fall gardens last year, we noticed a lot more bugs, but we were using the same spot we used for spring. So I'm thinking they were just getting food right after, as soon as we were going from one season to the next, they never lost food. So they stayed in our garden, and we just didn't have a good fall garden last year. So that's why when we do the tarps, we're thinking it's going to make a big benefit on smothering the ground, get some of the animals that are insects out of there, but also provide nutrients in the soil. So we're excited about that.
Trying to read and catch up.
I know. The bees are awesome. Our cabin in the woods, we love it. We absolutely love it. We're actually going to check. We'll probably have a bee video come out. I could do bees every day. I love bees and cows, but our bees, you need to check them. They're still in dearth, so meaning they're not really having a lot of pollen and nectar flow. So I'm going to check on, make sure they're doing good. This time of year, bees seem to try to rob each other because some may be without food. So that's why we tend to leave a little extra. We're very conservative on robbing honey for spring and for fall because we want to make sure they have enough where they won't bother each other. So we just need to go check on, make sure they're not robbing from each other. We do have 2 apiaries, and then we're helping another guy. So we've got to go back in and check our bees as well. So that's something we're planning on doing this weekend, most likely. So hopefully. It goes on the list if you didn't see my list. So.
And speaking of YouTube, we are so close to 1,000. I know
Somebody
last
commented on that
time
earlier.
I looked, we were over 950. So close to that. Whenever we get to the 1,000, y'all, we're gonna draw some names. I went out today and harvested.
Little Feet Farm Homestead said that too.
So when we get to 1,000, I went out today and harvested more carrot seeds, more dill seeds. I have a lot of parsley, pretty good bit of basil. So we're going to do some seed giveaways and drop those in the mail. And we're also going to do a hat. So we're going to pick 2 winners. So hopefully we can get there soon. It's been a very slow journey.
We say slow. I mean, we've been doing it since what?
March. Yeah.
It's not been that slow, but we just wanted to be past that by now. So
yeah, well, I mean, it'll come. It's a journey. But hopefully once we hit that 1,000, hopefully it won't be too much longer. We're gonna go ahead and like I said, we're gonna we'll do it on a Wednesday night. I'll have everything in a bowl. We'll let maybe one of the kids draw names, and that'll be fun. So if you want to, if you're on here, if you're new, not sure what to do, I've got a YouTube video out that was done probably 4 weeks ago or so.
Probably not that far, right? 3 weeks ago.
And it's called Giveaway. And if you'll just go on there and comment, I will pick up your name off the comments, and it will go in the bowl for the chance to win. So if y'all want a variety of seed or a hat, we'll be drawing that as soon as we get to the 1,000.
Loving Ivy Farm, I think it's so cool that you've noticed tons of maple trees. Prairie Homestead came out with a book talking about how they believe you can tap maple anywhere. We've never thought about that in the South because usually it's in cold climates. Our good friend Mike Pratt Family Homestead, taps maple, and he loves it. That's one of his favorite hobbies, and he's got some great videos.
Yeah, and if y'all are not familiar with them, check them out. We got to tour their
great maple trees.
We got to tour their homestead while we were up in Michigan, and they've got an awesome layout. Tons of chickens and turkeys, and they have some geese, don't they? And they have goats, and they have pigs, and they have Jenny's about to get her second horse.
Oh, she got it already. It's
did
not
she?
To the house. I think it's to the house now. So.
Well, I knew they were in that transition when we were up there. So they're a pretty cool homestead. Y'all be sure to check them out. We've really enjoyed getting to know them, learn from them. They do a lot of canning and fermenting, which is something we don't do a whole lot of. So if you're familiar with any of want to know more about any of that, they are very familiar with that.
We're not canners. That's one thing we've never really.
I've done some, but
we do hot water baths more than anything. We don't do a lot of pressure canning. We are a little worried. Sometimes it seems like, well, you just don't know. A lot of people trust it wholeheartedly. And Mike Pratt, he does canned meat all the time and things like that. I just think
nervous.
It's like, I don't know if I can do that.
It makes me a little nervous.
And we've all, again, not saying you're wrong or right if you can or put it in the freezer, but we just like it in the freezer. I think that it allows us to know that all the nutrients are still there. There's nothing cooked out of it, and it's not going to blow us up.
The only down thing to that, our cabin list is I'm a hot water bath. Here too.
Yeah, we do that. But you can't do everything like that. So that way we freeze.
Everything.
I just know if
or
the power
it's not
goes
recommended to do everything. Yeah, that's the downfall to it. Is if you live through another Hurricane Katrina, you're going to be like a week without power, and then you lose.
We're going to eat so many beans.
You lose everything that's in your freezers, that's in your refrigerator. So that's definitely a major downfall. And I want to learn personally how to do more dehydrating. So we have a dehydrator, but I wouldn't dare put anything that was very liquidy in there. I got it at a garage sale for $1, and I put all of my herbs in there. So when I'm doing basil, parsley,
all herbs, everything,
onions,
peppers, onions,
anything like that, I put Rice and beans, beans and rice.
That's right.
That's right. That's about what. Look, you should have seen the pandemonium in gas lines for water. It was like crazy. It was almost like a third world country. Um, yeah, it was crazy. I can do the no air conditioner. I can do the red beans and rice, stuff like that. But the water situation was crazy. The gas situation was crazy.
And we're going to be doing more videos on. We're not preppers, and I'd say we're not preppers as much as we are just homesteaders or farmers. But one thing we've tried to do when we built here, because this was before Katrina when we had this house, we didn't have this house, but we installed a water well here. We're pretty close to ground level, but here's the beauty of it. No, I mean it's electric water well, but we do have a hand pump to our water well. So that's one thing that we wanted to try to do as part of prepping and sustainability is understanding that we can provide water no matter what the situation is from the ground that we live on. So we were real pleased with that. But we'll have more videos on the prepper side of homesteading because I think they go hand in hand.
Loving Ivy Farm said, I've canned goat milk. It was much better than frozen. Don't know the shelf life because my grandson drank it all. That's kind of funny.
Wow, that's crazy.
We've never had it, but that's very interesting. But that's funny that your grandson drank it all.
Hey,
You know, they say anything that's hot water
based
goes anywhere from 12 to 18 months. So it's like I said, we're not real crazy about that, but I have canned some stuff.
Hey, Mary Hurd, you are right. Our cabin in the woods. I think that there's a mixture of homesteaders and preppers. That's kind of we're not crazy preppers and believe that the government's come to kill us, but at the same time, we're not to a point where we don't believe that there needs to be ramifications of making sure on our homestead that we are prepping a little bit along the way, like our well. And
Kim said, "My husband makes dried sausages. Fantastic. Might be too humid. Needs to be cool and dry air.
Oh my gosh!
It's definitely humid.
It's 98% humidity today.
Yeah, but it might be something that you could look at in the winter. But what I was saying a while ago is the dehydrator that I have, I got for $1 at a garage sale, and I do like a lot of my herbs in there. But I wouldn't put like apples or I'm not sure that I would
have to actually buy a good dehydrator.
I would have to invest. So when I got into herbs and stuff several years ago and wanted to find a dehydrator, I was not looking to invest a whole lot of money. I was trying to be more frugal. So when I come across this one for $1, it has been well worth its dollar. But I wouldn't put anything.
We burned it out. I mean, we have used it a lot.
Used it and used it and used it. But if I tried to do anything like sausage or apples or strawberries or anything like that, I would definitely have to invest into another one.
Yeah, this year I wanted to try to do, or last year it just didn't work. But where our land is, we also hunt it too. So our goal is to make a little dry deer jerky this year. So
they're blessed.
So if we drop the deer like we were wanting to and get to process them out, we're going to try to make a lot of deer jerky. So therefore, we will have to invest in a nicer dehydrator because ours is not really for meat, but it has done its purpose with the peppers and onions.
I would like to do more fruit in there, something like that.
Awesome Southern Blessed Homestead. There's some elderberry syrup just for y'all.
We're actually processing our elderberries right now. Yeah.
I know y'all just kicked on, but we have talked about elderberries the whole time. And elderberry syrup
we went and harvested more this afternoon, and I brought
I'm sorry. I probably got poison ivy from picking elderberries. Well, they're up here, not anywhere else right now. So I'm thinking I've got like poison ivy.
They might be making their way down.
I don't know. I was getting slapped in the face with like poison ivy as I was trying to get to the elderberries, and Misty's cracking a whip trying to make sure I'm doing like I'm supposed to do. She's like, fall in there, it don't matter. So.
We were like on the road. It's got a bridge, right? And then it's this big drop off.
Hey, Gossmania.
And we were on that big drop off, reaching over, trying to pull the trees to us. And Colby was holding the trees down, and I was cutting them and tossing them in the bucket. But I did bring the big bundles of elderberry in a while ago, and I was showing everybody that was watching. And but I had to take them back out because there were some bugs in them. So thank you, Tangy and Jack. Jennings is, I was sharing with him earlier, he's having some stomach issues. So we've been to the doctor this week. Not sure if he's got some bacteria going on in there, or if he's picked up something like a parasite or something. But we hope he does have his birthday's tomorrow. So we hope he'll have a good day tomorrow.
J Dog's place, that's a great idea. I want to take an old refrigerator and make a curing, kind of like a meat curing system for hams and for different pork with the old refrigerator. So I'm like you. I think it's fairly simple. It just takes a little ingenuity. Freedom Homestead, you make and tag the guy. I don't know his full name, but Stefan from Michigan that we were learning from. He's on Facebook. I don't know if he has a YouTube, but he does a lot of curing in an old fridge like that. He dehydrates, but he also cures in it. And same way with Art and Bree, I know they do a lot of that. So we want to do the same thing: take an old refrigerator and try to makeshift it into some kind of major dehydrator or a curing system to where we can hang meat in there and not have the issues with insects and things like that. So I think that's a great idea.
Miscellaneous said they just found out they have friends that elderberries grown in their backyard. They are native to our area. They are everywhere. I have a video out, and BW Family Farms has a video out. I was telling them this earlier. You always need to know, of course, what you're looking for before you go searching in the woods for berries. In May, they're extremely, extremely easy to locate. They have these big, huge white flower heads on them. The big white flower heads turn to little bitty tiny green berries. The green berries grow when they max out. They're always going to be small. They're not going to be like your big blueberries, blackberries, or anything like that. They're tiny.
Yeah, Gosmania, in your area, you should have a good bit of them, especially next to creeks and cutovers.
Yeah, that's where we were earlier. We were down at that little creek. I'm talking, the bush was huge. We were just spoiled a surprise. We were throwing extension cords over. We were throwing extension cords up, wrapping them around the bush so we could pull them to us and cut them down. But
Gosmania, be careful though. They turn from green to purple real quick, and if you don't harvest them quick enough, you'll have a lot of bugs and issues, and they'll fall to the ground. So it's very important to watch them constantly, because this time of year is when you're needing to go and harvest.
Yeah. So the big white flowers return to the green. The green will grow into big green, and then they'll turn purple. And they're I found it easiest to locate them because this was my first year to go on a search for them. I located them down when they had the big white flower heads on them. That happens in May in Mississippi, Gosmania. And I took some hot pink string and tagged every tree that I found. So that way I knew when the white was gone and I was looking at all these berries, I didn't know which would be which. And I'm glad that I did that because there was one spot that I marked, and the hedges and stuff had grew all up into it, and I almost did not find my pink string. But I already knew what the berries were going to look like because there's some that are visible, like just riding down the road, and that I knew where they were at. So I had been keeping a close eye on them.
I think you're right, J Dog's place with the control. We're with homesteading, you can always jump into way too much. So we've been really trying to watch ourselves and be patient with some things because we don't want to be so overwhelmed that we can't enjoy what we're doing. But our next step, of course, we've got our meat, but our next step is finding ways to cure our meat, or finding ways to keep our meat, not just by freezer, because that's what we're used to. But like Missy says, we're in an area that, we have hurricanes and we have major storms, so we need to find ways to
get
keep
the worst of. I say the worst of. We don't get the worst tornadoes, but we get tornadoes and hurricanes both in our area.
Right. We don't get hurricanes. We get the storms off the hurricanes.
Right. That's what I mean.
Usually it's the east side for some reason, so it always gets us bad. So we're trying to find ways to enjoy learning ways to keep meat better. So that's why I think that's a great idea. We're just to build a big smoker next to where we hang our deer. So I'm thinking that would be a good way to cure it out, but we're going to try to find another way to cure it, maybe with ham and try to keep it longer for months. So
say hey. Can you say
birthday boy, say hey.
Can you tell him you're going to be 1 year old tomorrow?
Say bye-bye.
My water broke with him last year at 6:30, and he was born at 9:30. No, it's 6 o'clock and 9:30. So super fast. not what we were expecting at all. He was a big surprise. A week early. Can you say hey? He is a busy boy.
Let her take him.
Here, take
We're supposed to get off here. We almost been on for 50 minutes. That's crazy. So keep up, because like I said, the next 2 videos, I think, or the next 3 videos will be on gardening and elderberries and a little maintenance that we had to do. But like I
y'all
said,
are gonna
it's
get
gonna
a
be good.
kick. Have you watched the one that I filmed doing
Mhm.
elderberries?
It
Y'all
should
are
be
gonna
on
get a
our
kick
Friday.
out of the way I had to get those elderberries by myself. The first day I went by myself. Today Colby went with me, but we'll put those 2 together, and y'all are gonna get a kick out of it, I think.
Always fun time. So thank y'all for being here tonight. Like I said, if you know people that you can share us with, please do. We are really trying to get to 1,000. We're so close, and we hope we can keep on growing. But thank you for watching. Thank you for always commenting. We love talking back and forth. I had today the salad start thing. We had a lot of people that was asking why or this is what they do, and I thought that was so cool, because then I was learning from them as they were learning from us. So I thought it was great. So it's always fun to communicate with everybody on the message, but also on the live chat. So thank y'all for being here.
Stay tuned for that video, y'all. Y'all got to see how we were doing.
Right. Loving Alvey Farm. Why we use salad tarps, it helps heat up the ground enough to where it makes moisture stay in the ground, but also heats it up enough to kill the insects, of course, so they become now bedding and protein for the ground, which is nitrogen. And then also what it does is it takes the weeds and the bahia grass and all those seed heads that we do not use any kind of chemical killer or anything like that in our ground. So what that does is heats the ground up enough, usually to 110, 120, which takes the seed heads and kills the roots to those grasses and weeds. So it helps make a quality ground. Oh yeah, it is. It's better. I had somebody tell me, well, why plastic's not good for your ground? It's like this. I'd rather still grow my own quality organic food in the ground that we have using a silage tarp than to get food shipped over on trucks and buy at a big box store. So some things we do sacrifice. I'd rather use a silage tarp to prep the ground than using Sevens dust or chemical spray to kill the grass or insects that are eating it. So for us, this seems like a better way to make the ground better for growth and add nitrogen back in the soil. But also, usually when you pick up a silage tarp, it's been successful because you're going to see worms and worm castings everywhere. So that's a really good thing as well. So
I got a worm on my foot today.
Yeah, she went crazy. I'm like, and she just went nuts.
I was recording. I was trying to get some footage of me collecting the carrot seeds, just because I can remember being in a spot where I didn't know how to collect seeds from certain vegetables and stuff like that. So I was out recording. I felt something go across my foot. I had flip flops on.
We have stakes everywhere, so
yeah. So when I glanced down and saw this little squiggly thing on my foot, I didn't throw the phone, but I jumped.
She
kicked
squeaked
my shoe off. I squealed and was yelling. So we're gonna get that tied into a video, tied into a whole video, because it was very short. I just wanted to show, here's the carrots, here's what happens, this is what you look for, this is how you get the seeds and stuff like that. But I did not like that worm on my foot.
We've had carrots all year long. We've either grown carrots or had carrot seeds. So again, sustainability. I think we're gonna get off, and we'll have several videos coming up on elderberries, some more gardens with permaculture chickens, with salad tarts with the fall growth. Our fall cucumbers are looking great. They're actually already starting to flower, so they're looking really good. So we're excited. So we'll have a lot of videos on some of that coming up in the next few days and weeks. So thank y'all so much. Thank you for dropping in, Rocky Homestead. I think we're going to close up for the night, but thank you for coming by. But other than that, I think it's been a good night. So thank y'all for coming in, and we hope that you have a great rest of the week and a great rest of Hump Day.